Our study today has been recorded in volume 58, number 11. Patriots, arise. It was sent out June 1st, 2015, but it actually was given on July 3rd, 1961. But I find his teaching is so appropriate for this moment that will shock you. The eternality of this teaching. He starts out rather amazingly. He said, "Patriots, arise." Translating that, it means everybody stand now, in this moment, in your homes, in your churches, wherever you are, stand. For he is calling every one of us to attention. He continues, the consciousness of the founding fathers, the eternal beauty which is externalized in America, lives today in thee, and it shall live in thy posterity, even as you direct your consciousness today to the highest. The walk of light, the pathway of light, and the measured beat of light are the eternal blessing for mankind. And there is no other road that leads to spiritual abundance and the fullness which God has intended for you all. Blessed ones, won't you please be seated? I am here, and I am grateful that with the wisdom and God intelligence for which he is famous, beloved El Moria, this past evening in somewhat in the manner of a delivering physician, spanked the infant consciousness of those of you who are here for the purpose of breathing into you the fire of life. For your response, I compliment you. For your calls, which rose up this last evening to heaven, have made the earth a more beautiful place this morning. And I therefore am grateful to El Moria for having spurred and stimulated your consciousness so that you are able to appreciate yourselves just that much more. Ladies and gentlemen, I had, in one manner, hoped that this would be a banquet during which, of course, I could speak to you after you had finished eating. But inasmuch that has not occurred this year, I presume that those of you who still enjoy a tasty morsel will arrange out on future occasions to participate in such a feast, so that I may speak to you after that occasion and thus have the truth relaxed, to have the fully relaxed consciousness of those who are content because their tummies are full. I am most grateful, however, that the great and vast courtesy of those of you who have given of your time, your energy, and your tireless love to the service of the light, because you realize that the ascended masters are like you, individually created flames of God. I think that's an interesting comment. We are individually created flames of God. He continues, and while it is true that we no longer wear bodies such as you wear, I assure you that we have a consciousness of our own being in every bit in manner and degree like that which you have. And I must say, we have a consciousness of our own being to a much larger degree because we have expanded our consciousness not only into those etheric memories of what we have done in the past, but into the conscious love of all eternity. This means that we have glimpsed in light what we ourselves shall be in eras to come, eras yet unborn in the cosmic light. Let's stop there. They are where they are because they are able and they are willing to project into the future. What do you see for your future? Do you look at the mirror and you say, oh my goodness? Do you look into the future and you say, I wonder if I'll always be poor like this? Or do you begin to see a cosmic picture ahead of you? What it would be like to be an ascended master, to be on a greater world among those who have truly won the race. What is your picture? For you understand that you become what you see. And thus his first lesson, his first tip is for us to do the same, to copy him, to project into the future the victory of light, and then to become that victory. He continues. Now I realize these words may sound slightly ambiguous to those of you who are somewhat puzzled by a host of words. But if you will stop for a moment and think, this is not too difficult to apprehend, for I merely stated that we ourselves as ascended beings look forward to a glorious future. So we too No matter where we are, whether we are in prison or in the freedom of the world, what do you see? Make sure you understand what he's talking about. He said, after all, blessed ones, what is immortality? Is it something which comes to an end? I think not. It is something which has neither a beginning nor an ending. Now, if it has no beginning, how could it ever have an ending? So you see, beloved ones, our life and your life are truly one. And it is necessary that the flame of freedom shall act in human affairs and in human considerations, so that the mankind of earth who have gathered an almost full-blown momentum of discord may be set free from that same discord and enter their God-appointed levels of consciousness, where they are no longer surrounded by the effluvia of human creation and the discord manifestations which bring them so much pain, trepidation, and unhappiness, and a host of other troubles. These are the contents of Pandora's box. They have flooded forth across the world from the discordant human consciousness. Some of you have in the past heard me say that the human being, ungoverned, is more vicious than an animal in the jungle. May I repeat? The human being, ungoverned, is more vicious than an animal in the jungle. I want to tell you today that there are plenty of these animals on the prowl. And that is the reason why the earth is in the discordant and terrible turmoil which it is in today. I am reminded somewhat of my own activity when, as Francis Bacon, I wrote the Shakespearean plays. And I am thinking now in terms of the Tempest. For the world today is actually passing through a great and stormy and perilous hour when momentous decisions are being made at the human level as well as the cosmic levels. Blessed and eternal and beloved ones, there are many God qualities But the quality of freedom is extremely important. For blessed ones, how would you be able to exercise any of the other freedoms if you did not have the freedom to do so? Therefore, I think freedom is most important. I am so grateful for those of you who have consciously decreed to clear the atmosphere of the earth. Some of you do not realize the tremendous happenings that have occurred at inner levels as a result of your tireless energy. It is difficult for mankind to understand cosmic law. For men work in bodies of form, and they are conditioned by the thoughts of the race and the mass mind and human consciousness. When you have the God freedom that we have to see as we do, you will understand many things by direct apprehension. Now, I'm sure that all of us have experienced this, where something happens and immediately you have that insight into the cause or whatever. The other day, the Vice President of the United States was flying to the northern state, Connecticut, I believe, to be part of a meeting. He got within an hour of his landing, and the message came: return, turn around. We have an emergency. The moment I heard that, I already knew what was behind this. It was just there all at once. This is what he's talking about. He said, you have heard it said that a picture is worth 10,000 words. And when you are able, by direct perception of your heart, to see with the cosmic third eye, and to see with a fully open, ascended master consciousness into the human condition, or into any condition, then there is consciousness into the human condition. Then there is conditions are completely clear before your eyes. And you may not require the 10,000 words because you will have the cosmic picture. Do you see? This is instantaneous recognition, instantaneous apprehension of any condition, and it enables you to act in a very wise manner on what you perceive. But at the present time, the consciousness of the mass mind and the consciousness even of the student require the use of words and the embodiment of ideas to be clothed in the consciousness of words. We have clothed our words with the quality of the Ascended Master light. And we have then cups, we have then clothed them with cups of liquid light, so that our words are actually cups of light. And each word is endowed with a special spiritual quality, so that as it penetrates your consciousness, blessed ones, it enables you to find a greater measure of cosmic freedom. And this is the desire of all the ascended hosts and of the greater cosmic light itself. Now, you ministers know that I have spoken over and over again how important this consciousness is. Sometimes we get up before a crowd of people and we read a scripture as if we were reading it out of a book for ourselves, and we go real fast. They aren't cups of light. We don't fill them with light. We don't give it a chance to fill up so that the person who's receiving it finds more than just light. There's something happens in the heart. We must begin to understand what he's talking about here. The use of words for those who need words. Just the words, I love you, can mean so much, not only to human beings and to children, but even animals. He says, I think it is high time that the patriot of freedom realize that men such as Abraham Lincoln are required today. I think it is necessary that the women realize that women like Florence Nightingale are needed today. These are people who will keep the vigil. These are people with the discipline to keep the vigil. These are people who understand what is behind the manifestations. He said, these are people who, though they may at times be men and women of sorrow, because they are yet wearing physical bodies and occasionally carry the sorrows of the world upon their shoulders, will realize that there is a supreme cosmic purpose which requires the action of divine patriotism. Divine patriotism to make this land of yours and mine God's land. Divine patriotism. What does that mean to you? Does it mean undergirding prayer for the safety of this country? Does it mean decrees really determined to set a stage or energy to lift this country? Yes, indeed. God save the king. God save the queen. I tell you, blessed ones, this land belongs to the king and queen of heaven. You see, I am here during this entire meeting, and I'm able to hear everything that takes place. And I enjoy just as much of the little witticisms and happening among mankind as you yourselves do. We follow very closely the action of the student body because you are a specially dedicated group. Do you realize that the Master can hear your thoughts? Do you realize that the Master knows when you're in and out of attunement? Do you realize that we are among the saints? Higher up, and they are with us, and they know what we think. They know where we are, and they are willing to help when it is appropriate. He said many years ago, when I was acting through the I Am movement, it was my desire to instruct the messenger, our beloved Godfrey, to formulate and to form an organization known as the Minutemen of Saint Germain. This was a very important action. And of course, I have thought about it many times since and wondered why we did not have minute women as well as minute men. And so now I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I think it well that those of you who are here realize that all of you can be Minutemen and Minute Women in a cosmic sense. I think that you can perform the same action that group carried out, and therefore you can assist me in keeping the flame of freedom active in the hearts of men during the Independence Day season. That's what we're in right now, and we can assist him. When, frankly, most are asleep concerning cosmic independence, spending most of their time shooting firecrackers and skyrockets and realizing little of the true meaning of those patriots and soldiers who gave their lives and fortunes to the cause of this great country. I think it is absolutely essential then that individuals who are here realize that they have this cosmic responsibility to sustain the freedom flame for the whole earth, and especially for the United States because of its great place in the cosmic scheme. America is indeed the head of the world, and India is its heart. Therefore, it is so essential that you recognize today the beauteous American flag. Do I need to speak of its meaning to your hearts? And here is the flag of India. I point out to you the great wheel of Dharma, that ever-turning cosmic wheel of life. I call to you your attention that the cosmic light and love loves the world with its teeming people. It has no desire to see the world destroyed. It has no desire to see the world go down in pain and sorrow. It has no desire to see anyone unhappy. And yet, think you that the cosmic law thought differently during the days of Atlantis? Do you think that the cosmic law desired that particular nation and that continent to descend in despair? I tell you, nay. For the cosmic love of the Father was as great and intense for the people of Atlantis as it is for Atla, come again. America is Atlantis, come again. At this point, I would like to insert into our thoughts part of a dictation that El Morya gave in 1961, July 3. El Morya delivered a white paper to the planet Earth from the Great White Brotherhood, which declared that often it becomes necessary to dissolve a planet because of its discord and to return it to the everlasting light, the universal light. Long ago, Sana Kamral prevented planet Earth from being dissolved. And since then, this planet has endured through the great love of the Great White Brotherhood. The destiny and freedom of this earth is now at stake. The destiny and freedom of this earth is now at stake because unless the love of God manifests on earth, there shall be a vast and awful cataclysm as took Atlantis down long ago. And the civilization and all of its environs and all of the people shall perish from the earth. Too long has this earth held the balance of negative energy. And therefore the great cosmic law demands that this earth shall manifest the freedom, the God perfection, and the light of God, the light God intended. So Sana Kamral asks that you take over the responsibility that he for so long sustained for the mankind of earth. He asks you to take upon your own shoulders the responsibility of being an atlas to uphold the world and the people of earth, who in their ignorance and their perfidy go their separate ways from God. Uphold them now and make calls to the light so that these cataclysmic events, which now seem impending, will not happen. The law of mercy has long permitted mankind to continue in discord, but it shall not continue forever. Freedom is all about you, but unless you shall externalize it consciously, intellectually, and intentionally, then I think you shall reap what mankind have sown. So in the last few days, California has experienced the most intense earthquakes. Thank you. It suddenly wasn't there. It has the most intense earthquakes. 6.4, 6.9, or 7.1, whichever one you read. They have been saying for months, they are watching for that ultimate one. What's the ultimate one? Well, you remember when Edgar Casey made many prophecies, and one of them was, the West Coast will go down, and the West Coast will become then on the east side of the mountains toward Iowa. That can happen instantaneously unless we hold it up. And then all of you know about Yellowstone Lake. It is sitting upon a tremendous molten magma, one of the largest in the world. It's only kept under control by the volume of water that keeps holding it and cooling it on the top. It did explode once, and they found evidences of it all over the southern United States of America. And if it should blow, 2/3 of America would probably die. They are saying that there are geysers in Yellowstone just very recently beginning to increase their activity. So momentarily, at any moment, it could go. Who is to stop it? You and I. He continues, and therefore this America ought to stand, because the people will stimulate the love for freedom within their hearts and will sustain it and will forsake selfish desires and realize what it means to be a Minuteman and a Minutewoman, a patriot and a lover of freedom and independence. This is not merely to indulge in or to engage in selfish activities of one's own individual life stream and consciousness. It means consideration for others. It means pausing to make sacrifices willingly when needed, and to know that the ultimate end of all will be a cosmic victory, not only for themselves, but for the world at large. If we could only understand how close we are, how quickly it could all be over with. If we could understand that until the tremendous things happened in New York, where the planes flew in to the buildings and brought down those buildings, if we could understand that behind that whole thing was some people who were greedy, and they caused it by planning it very well to happen. Until that moment, I am told. The Father protected the coasts of the United States of America. We have never been attacked. But at that moment, man canceled God's protection of our coasts. And therefore, it is up to you and I to make that preparation and to protect through spiritual work the coasts of America. The wall on the south side. And let's just talk about the wall on the south side. Why is it so terribly controversial? It is because of greed. As long as it is porous, people are getting rich. His name was El Gacho, I think. He dealt with drugs in South America. He is so rich, he didn't know what to do with the money, so they just finally buried it. But he paid off all the leaders in Mexico. And he paid off the leaders in the United States. During this trial in New York, he was confessing to those who he paid off. And so he talked about Mexico. And then he started to talk about the United States, and immediately they stopped. They called a stop for the trial.
Sealed the proceeding.
Then they started the proceeding behind closed doors because he paid off congressmen, senators, judges. They became millionaires. And so, for goodness sakes, keep the borders open. Keep it happening rather than saving the United States of America. It is a tragic situation we are in right now. And it must be dealt with in a spiritual point of reference, building a spiritual wall, but beyond that, raising the consciousness of the people, showing that lies are not really true, and that the secrets of the multimillionaires need to be exposed. Then he changes the subject. He said, I wish to say a word concerning the hopes of parents. How many of you today are able to consciously realize the thought you had when first you held within your arms your firstborn child? Either in this embodiment or in past embodiments, for all of you have been parents at some time or another. And therefore, you held within your auras or your arms your firstborn child, whether boy or girl. You had such high hopes for that child and for its destiny and for its future. Nobility, idealism, and great spiritual thoughts flowed through your consciousness during the cosmic moment. And then came the closing of the shutter, and the light no longer passed through the lens. And as the child waxed strong and grew up. The Immaculate Concept was not held for the child. The cares of life choked out the conscious and loving care which was so well intended in the beginning. And often children have grown up haphazardly and misguided, not knowing the cosmic light or the great cosmic law or the purposes of freedom. There is a song called Songs My Mother Taught Me. It was the one that was played just before or just after the scripture. It is a beautiful melody. It is a beautiful song. It instructs mankind of the need for the great outpouring of love to the children of the world. The children of the world are the future of America, and they are the future of the world. They are the hope of the ascended masters. If they go down under the inundation and the flood tide of human avarice and greed and deceit that brings upon the mass market numerous types of media such as comic books, trash, and various sundries, etc., that in no way reflect the teachings of the ascended masters, do you think it is just? Do you think it is fair, beloved ones, that these children and youth of the world should go down under this flood tide of human consciousness, misqualified energy, and discordant life? Then make the calls for the youth of the world. This is the assignment. And notice how it is put. Make calls for the youth of the world. Make calls that these greedy individuals will have driven back into their consciousness all that which they have sent out until it completely causes them to fold, and they are no longer able to release it into the mass mind. That's step one. Then make calls for its transmutation within their consciousness. Step two. And for the salvation and release of those individuals who have been greedy. Yes. You don't have to read much in the modern news to read about the multimillionaires who try to control everything for money. They are behind what's happening at the wall. They are behind what's happening in the Congress and the Senate. They are behind so much. They just seem to have their fingers in everything. You see, blessed ones, he says, the cosmic light and our love want freedom for everyone. Very few people consciously desire to be discordant. Very few people desire this. They are often so ignorant that even though they are wise and graduates of great universities, they still are ignorant, greedy, and selfish because they do not know the Ascended Master law and light. You have an opportunity today to do for the children and the youth of the world an incomparable cosmic service. I hope that you shall take it to your heart and perform this service in the name of freedom, in the name of peace, in the name of light. If you will do it, you will assist Christopher Wray, the head of the FBI, for he is well aware of the problems of juvenile delinquency. And the Justice Department of this great nation is aware of the growing threat of juvenile delinquency sweeping across the world, this nation, and spewing out a flood tide of crime and violence. This is not ascended master intended. It is intended that these blessed children shall grow up to be ascended master youth. But how shall this occur if they are fed a constant diet of that which is not appetizing to their spiritual consciousness? I think it is time that some of you rise up on your 2 feet and that you double your 2 fists and determine to fight this activity. When I say Patriots, arise, as I said when I first spoke to you today, the meaning I mean two-fisted patriots. I mean red-blooded patriots who know that the blood within their veins is going to be turned to ascended master golden liquid light. But while they still have it running red, they are determined to do a work for the cause of freedom and transmutation, so that the life that flows within these people, the children and youth, as well as all involved with the misqualified energy affecting them, shall be set free. If others give their lives in the battle for this, if others gave their lives in battle for this, is it too much to ask you, blessed ones, to give your life in prayers, in invocations, in decrees, in activities for the light? Is it too much to ask you to externalize through this activity various branches which shall teach the children and youth of the world the meaning of life from a cosmic ascended master light perspective? I ask you if this is asking too much.
No.
I think it is not. After all, this is for the cause of freedom. You have heard stirring patriotic speeches uttered from the platforms in the defense of some of the political ideologies. I am speaking for the cosmic cause of this planet. This is a platform for at least 3 billion life rays presently in embodiment, ought it not be sustained in divine ascended Master light and mercy? I think this is true. Then let the freedom flame expand in every heart. Let the freedom flame expand in you. Then let the freedom flame glow. Let us learn courtesy. Let us learn the meaning of love. Let us learn the meaning of peace. And let us know that you are ladies and gentlemen of heaven's court. What does it mean to be members of my court? And I was crowned on Coronation Day on May 1st. I envisioned then lords and ladies of the flame. I saw people of every race coming from every corner of the world to our great cosmic ballroom. I saw them there participating in the lovely Strauss waltzes and enjoying and drinking in the beauty of those melodies. And I saw them feeling the flow of the cosmic currents, the lilting, and the joyous rhapsodies and harmonies of heaven. I saw them attending this ball and the many balls which we intend to hold at inner levels. I saw them recognizing that in God there is joy, and that in God there is peace, and that outer reflection which comes, the manifestation of the dance, is but a poor reflection in the mirror of life, of the great inner level glory of God. The joy of bodily movement when it is controlled by ascended Master light. How many of you have stopped to realize that we of the ascended Masters occasionally participate in these beautiful waltzes ourselves? Do you think for one moment that you are the only ones to enjoy these things? The ascended Masters have glorious banquets. We have glorious feasts of light. And when you enter our octave, you are not going into the realm of nothingness where people sit and play harps. Ladies and gentlemen, there is so much in heaven of joy and beauty and glory that what is on earth is only a blotter to absorb human effluvia. It is nothing compared to that which we have. I hope that you will sense the meaning of what is behind my words. And therefore, this day shall not have dawned in vain, but this day shall have dawned to stimulate within your heart flames a new understanding of the meaning of God, freedom, an understanding of the meaning of dedication, an understanding of gratitude for the 50-star flag, an understanding of gratitude for that flag of India, and an understanding of gratitude for the Holy Spirit, which overshadows you all. If peace shall come to the world, as symbolized by El Moria's dove holding the flag of the United Nations, it shall come because men and women make it happen. If they do not make it happen, the world will continue in the undulations, the vacillations between war and peace, and the vacillations between happiness and unhappiness, and in the limited human consciousness. But it cannot go on forever so. And therefore, I invoke today the holy cause of freedom in your midst. And I urge you to recognize this holy cause and arise to meet the need of the hour by being from this day forward more than you have ever been. Sons and daughters of freedom, hold high your heads this hour. Hold high your heads. Let your hearts trip lightly with the cosmic beat. And when I say lightly, I mean lightly. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. May God add the richness of his eternal blessing from our own mighty I Am presence to my words. May freedom's meaning have a new birth this day within each heart. Thank you and good morning. Beloved Saint Germain, your consciousness means so much and elevates our own consciousness. Oh, beloved Master, and strengthen us in this moment. Strengthen us. Let us rise in consciousness as you have. Let us become Saint Germain to the whole world and its needs in this hour. For we ask it in your holy name.